I think that there's a lot of misconceptions about these communities. There's a lot of good people in these communities. We did bursaries in 31 Division. We had community barbecues at that point in time when I was there as a unit commander. There's a lot of good people that support the police. The problem in these communities is the politicians, and the mayor and the premier, whoever may be sitting in those chairs at any given time, along with community leaders and faith leaders, have never dealt with the root problems that are in these communities. You have low-income families or not working that are trying to support their children in these neighborhoods, and a lot of times working long hours, so these children are left in these neighborhoods from school to defend, and they're easy targets for these elder gang members to recruit. These complexes were built like fortresses years ago, right? And they were built like fortresses, and then you have one neighborhood pledging allegiance to that neighborhood and fueling wars against other neighborhoods, which is causing all kinds of gunfire and black on black murders. Let's get about it. Gang members, there's a lot of young male blacks being killed by other gang members in these neighborhoods. And I don't think, everybody's stepping around this, but nobody's dealing with the actual root. And for 3 decades, I've been hearing about, let's get to the root problems. I don't think we have. And, I think some of these neighborhoods, these communities need to be dismantled like they did in Regent Park, so the recruiting stops.
Is there a way to actually stop them? Is it just a societal issue that the kids are there, they don't have a lot of money, they see this as a way to make money, and you can't arrest your way out of this problem?
No, I don't think you can arrest your way out of this problem. I think the root is need to be addressed, and I don't have all the answers for that, but they've never really addressed it. It gets tiresome at times when the blame comes to the police and the judiciary, when we have to deal with the end results all the time. We're the ones there with the body bags and the yellow tape and trying to pick up the pieces at the end of the day. We need support from the community to stop it at the front end. And the only way we're going to do that is if we have leaders in those communities, along with faith leaders and even critics, stepping forward and trying to help solve this issue.
They say the police, between carding, the way the disrespect with the way people are treated within those communities, that they don't want to help, they don't want to work with police. You've been on the ground. What's your reaction to it?
I think there's a little bit of BS in there. Okay, some of these people that live in those communities are afraid of their own communities because there's gang members living in those communities, and unless we extradite those gang members and get them away so there's no shootouts from other gangs coming in, there's always a fear there that their children are going to be endangered or themselves are going to be endangered. So it's not just a fear of talking to the police, it's a fear of retaliation if they talk to police, and I understand that, but you're not going to stop the problem unless you get to the root of it and start changing behaviors. It has to be changed at the ground level. It's a social issue, and everybody should be on board to help change that, from the mayor to the premier to the critics to the leaders in those communities and the community itself. That's what really needs to happen, because we have to work and live in these communities.
How many times have you dealt with somebody who maybe arrested years before and they're now out doing the exact same thing that they were arrested for?
It happens a lot. I mean, we still take a pretty strong stance on violent crime in this country, and some of these gang members are getting 7-10 years, but the way the system works, some of them are still operating in jail, and while they're in there, they're still recruiting for the next level. So, it is a revolving door in that aspect, and so you have to stop that. And again, we come right down to the root problem. What is causing this problem in these neighborhoods, and how do we stop it? And that's what we have to do moving forward. Otherwise, we're not going to stop the end result, which is body bags and yellow tape at the end of the day. It's like a boiling pot of potatoes, right? And we're trying to hold the lid on from these gangs to make sure it doesn't overflow. This guy's gone beyond the means for doing a robbery. He's gone to escalating the violence and terrorizing the people.
Mike Earl has given his fair share of colorful quotes over the years. In just a few minutes, we look back on his career and some of the cases he says he'll never forget.
He just doesn't go in and ask for money. He goes in and just totally acts like an animal. These people were treating this robbery as though they won the lottery. Cowardly fired 3 shots through the glass. These lever action losers need to be apprehended before they actually shoot somebody's eye out. It's like a boiling pot of potatoes, right? And we're trying to hold the lid on from these gangs.
You probably don't know many police officers by name, but Mike Earl might be an exception after decades of going before the cameras for Toronto Police, naming bandits and talking tough. He's calling it a career. I took a wander down memory lane with him earlier today. Who's this young musclehead here? What's that all about?
I was just doing some undercover work when I was in, actually I was in the hold-up squad at that point in time.
You with the beard there?
Yeah, that's at,
what case was this?
That's up in Oakwood and Eglinton area.
And this is 1978, brand new on the job. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, ready to be a police officer.
Yeah, right from small town in Ontario right to the big city. I was working on a turkey farm, and so I was interested in policing. I was going to night school at Conestoga College. So I ended up applying to Toronto. My first police car was a Ford Pinto, yellow.
Wow.
Well, I worked in 11 Division, the Junction, as a uniformed constable for until about 1984, and then I went undercover and worked in a prostitution task force that was formed by Superintendent Getty at the time. He was running 14 Division, and there was an influx of runaways and young girls, missing girls that were recruited by pimps and that were plaguing Queen Street West at the time. From 1990 to 99, I was a hold-up squad investigator, and that's where we met, Dwight.
Yes.
At that time, I was investigating retail business robberies and bank robberies and armored car robberies. I was promoted to inspector and was a duty inspector for about 10 months, and that was the year of the gun, when shootings escalated throughout the city of Toronto. Right at the end of that year, Chief Bill Blair asked me to go to the Gun and Gang Task Force, which was basically being expanded, and to create the newly formed Integrated Gun and Gang Task Force, which stands today. At the same time I was working on that, we had the incident on Yonge Street with Jane Creba. I worked with the Peel Regional Police on the Nancy Kidd murder, which is a bank teller back in 1999. I also worked on the Just Desserts murder with Vivi Limones. I worked at that. I was one of the first investigators on scene for that case. My proudest working environment has been the hold-up squad. I really truly had a passion for that job from when I was an investigator in the 1990s, and retiring there as a unit commander makes me very proud.
We can tell some of your passion from some of the press conferences you had. Some of the names that you gave some of the bandits and suspects over the years. You ever get in trouble for any of that?
Well, there's been commentary about it, and I think there's been time that people weren't happy with some of my comments. But I think I had the support of the chief, and I had the support of a lot of the media and the public. I mean, my goal was to solve crime.
And this is more the role I know you for at some of the bike rallies and some of the community events up in my own neighborhood.
Yeah, 31 Division. That was the open house that day, and
the CPLC up there.
Yeah, and that was the open house. We had an open house. I think you were there that day. 39 years have come and gone pretty quick. I wanted to leave when I was still healthy and still in a happy mode. My wife has been waiting around 39 years for a cup of coffee in the morning, so it was time. It was time. I want to leave on a high note. It's a great career, and we need good people, and we need people on this police service that have a passion to do the job. That's what we need. We need people that want to be police officers. We want, that strive to be police officers, that strive and want to be helpful to the community and also put bad guys away.
Definitely going to miss his witticisms and candor. He didn't sugarcoat or hold back when being interviewed about his cases. Says his focus now, spending more time with his two sons and his wife.